Hello, guys. Thank you. I want to firstly say thank you to our panel guests for joining us today. Obviously, the property market is going through some funny times. We're all sitting under this coronavirus world at the moment, so there's a lot of people jumping up and down. Guys, do you mind if I just ask you to put your volume on mute?
Sure.
Just until I come to you. Thanks, Ron. So today I have a panel list of guests with me. I'll run through and give you a brief synopsis of each as we go through. Apologies that we may be missing Jason Bond towards the end of the presentation, as he's stuck in a settlement program at the moment, but he said he's going to try his best to jump on. So if we can't get him, I'm sure we'll grab him at a later date. Get him on his own. Oh, there he is. I think he's joined. Jason, welcome.
Hey, Michele, how are you?
Good, mate. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too, mate. Sorry I'm a little late.
No, it's all good, mate. Do you know how to get the video going?
No.
Okay, down the left, bottom left, there'll be a little video next to
yep.
Yeah, just click that and away you go. Awesome. There we go.
Lovely.
Cool. So you missed the memo today, but just when the other guys are talking, if you just press the mute button, that'll just cancel out the noise on the side. Yeah, awesome, cool. All right. So so thanks guys for joining us. My name is Michele Romano from Muscillo Romano Accountants. I've been dealing with this issue with my firm and my business partner over the last couple of weeks. And I thought it was prudent that we get out and start doing these live webinars to our clients, our client base, to give them an understanding of what's going on in the real world out there. I know there's a lot of noise going on from media. You know, every channel you look at, you're looking at the word coronavirus. You know, and there's a lot of things happening in the world. So just want to take this opportunity to get out there and obviously talk to you all, and you know, get some sort of positivity back into our lives and reality. So let's get cracking here. Now, my first guest today is a man that most of you probably will know very well if you follow our social media channels, Mr. Pat Ivey from Harcourts, Cooperoo.
How are we all? Thanks for the introduction.
Patty's a fellow Villanovan, like myself, passionate about all things in life. Pat lives and breathes real estate. He's also well equipped with a Bachelor of Property and Economics. So I'm interested to hear what you've got to say tonight in regards to this current crisis. And I just want to add that, you know, Patty and I have done a lot of work together over the past 3 years or so, and I truly value his input and his friendship and professionalism. So, Patty, let's cross to you live now. Patty, tell us, what are you seeing out there at the moment in this current climate? What are the things that you know, people are saying to you and so forth?
Okay, so there's a little bit of inconsistency that's just started to happen in our world. One of those inconsistencies is our vendors and their reaction to it, and also the buyers and their reaction to it. I think a lot of buyers are obviously receiving a lot of, you know, different press. It's obviously doom and gloom out there. And then they've got their family members as well on top of that. They've got their solicitors, brokers, everyone in their ear and giving them mixed feedback. I'm finding that, you know, personally, we've only had maybe a deal or two, you know, where it's sort of gone south in the last, you know, few days, where it's really started to, you know, we're in stage 2 now. ScoMo's done, no opens, no auctions. So we're in private viewing time, and maybe we look to go to New Zealand stage where we're in a full lockdown. And I'm actually interested tomorrow to find out how that looks. I'm going to be meeting with someone via this sort of medium, talking from New Zealand. He's also an agent, so it'll be interesting to see how they're going. So again, only a couple of deals so far have sort of been doing this, but in general, it's still been a very busy March. I couldn't believe even late last week how many people were still contacting me about property, price guides, wanting to make offers. Only the last few days has there been a little bit more uncertainty. But even then, a lot of the vendors have accounted for that and discounted their pricing accordingly if they are keen to continue and sell and be motivated. Alternatively, if they're not, well, they're okay and they're not going to pursue, and they're happy to wait 9 to 12 months or however long, you know, they feel is appropriate.
And it's an interesting time. I think you know, the fact that you have used and embraced social media in your career, I think it's a testament to what you're doing. You know, obviously lot of people out there are slowly starting to get into that electronic media, and
Sure.
and I'm talking like the likes of Facebooks and Instagrams and so forth. But you've really embraced it. Some of the videos you've done, from day one, and I really think that that's an important measure that we all probably need to take a clip out of your book there.
Certainly, and I know a lot of videographers have hit us up this week, even wanting to get property inspections done, lots of videos, 3D tours and that sort of thing. And maybe that's where the market goes for a few months. But again, is there concern around property prices and all the other important stuff? Yeah, potentially. But I still think that people need houses to move into. People still prefer to pay the mortgage down than they do pay rent. So I still think there will be a demand, despite a lot of the concern, doom, gloom around prices dropping 10, 20%, I've heard. I think Sydney, Melbourne is going to be more exposed to that than Brizzy. But yeah, certainly in terms of agents getting business and promoting our properties, yeah, video obviously seems to be the way. And I've done a couple of Zooms today, even a couple of Skype conferences today. So I think that this is a great medium to be communicating, whether it's, us talking to the public or us talking to buyers or sellers at the moment.
Okay, cool. And so tell us, so you've been at Harcourts Cooperoo for a while now. Your area of expertise is obviously in the residential property market. So are you finding that there's more people asking and talking about this, or you're just not sort of hearing much noise, or what is it?
Certainly noise, but again, it's media driven. Everyone watches the news at night. I've started to turn it off. Not that I'm avoiding it, but I just hear through other sources how bad it is. And I prefer to deal with positive people that are trying to do the right thing by everyone in the economy. I think the economy's taken a huge hit, and it's a very difficult time because it's health related. And I've certainly got old grandparents that I'm concerned of. But even small business will really struggle as a result of the reaction that we've taken. But yeah, in my little hyper-local market that we call 4152, Carina, Heights, Campbell, Carindale area, everyone's aware of it. Everyone's clued in. But if you're transparent about it, it is what it is. There should be some good purchases around in due course. But on that note, I still think that, everyone will wait 3 months and then everyone will re-enter the market in 3 months, and then prices will probably do these ones. So, I think that smart buyers are still buying now. Yes, I'm aware that prices could see a little adjustment, but vendors are certainly aware of that. And as I said to you before, they're motivated enough to factor in that price into their new list price as they're on the market.
Yeah, it's interesting information there, Paddy. Mate, love the work, love it. Keep it up. Like I said, positivity is key through all this. There's a lot of media hype out there, and I think we need to encourage people to sort of distance themselves from a lot of that. I understand the government's trying to help, soften the blow with a lot of this, with the packages and things they're bringing out and so forth. But the reality is we still need to live. We still need to get on with our lives and operate. So yeah, hat off to you, mate. Well done. So let's just jump over now to Joe. Now let's talk about Joe. Joe, I met many years ago when he was basically a kid playing soccer out at Brisbane Street. And I've known Joe's family for almost forever, and I've watched him develop into a cracker real estate agent. Joe's forward thinking and integrity has helped him just recently achieve probably one of the highest sales in acreage property out at Chandler. Joe, that's an awesome report, mate. Tell us how did you come about this?
Come about the property sale, or the? Pardon me, sorry.
Yeah, the sale, mate.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous home. It's actually quite interesting. The son of the owners bought a property off me in Alba, and he bought that at auction. And what got me the listing actually was they needed to replace the tiles in the house, and the home was built in 2006, so it had these old blue sort of tiles. And he goes, Joseph, I need the thickness of the tile. Can you sort of send me the measurements? But what we did instead was I went and grabbed a tile from the house, drove over to his place in Carindale, and dropped it off to him. And he said to me after, he goes, that's just like great quality service. And then he goes, I really do appreciate that. And then on my birthday, 4th of April last year, he posted on my wall saying, "Joseph, happy birthday. I have a cracker listing coming for you." And I was like, oh, he's selling his house in Capalaba again. But no, he gave me a call, and it was his parents' property in Chandler at 303 Archer Street. So over servicing the client there was able to provide me sort of a point of difference. And I think that really gave us a head start to win that business. So really exciting stuff.
That's awesome, mate. So basically, you were operating in that Manly to Cleveland space, and then you obviously made your move into that Belmont, Gumdale, Chandler area. Obviously, it's a different sort of world you're playing in that space there. You know, properties are tightly held. People don't sort of transact that often. I think what the number's like 20 years or so.
Yeah, the longest hold rate in Brisbane comes around 23, 24 years in Chandler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us, obviously, in the last, probably in the last sort of couple of months leading up to, this probably 2-week period, what were you seeing prior to, and what are you seeing now?
Well, Chandler and the acreage market in general has always been very, very tightly held. So there's about 650 homes in the area, and only about 18 properties transact every year. So we find acreage properties there, they sell quickly, and they usually sell for really good prices. So the median sale price was actually the third highest in Brisbane. They came in at a little over 1.5. And, these suburbs are 17 k's out of the city, so it's unheard of. So higher than Ascot, Hamilton, Clayfield. And when you told people that sort of facts, they didn't really believe us at first, but it's basically comes down to supply and demand. There's a massive demand, but a really low supply. So leading up to this, it was as strong as ever. We were getting so many inquiries on properties, and, getting in excess of 80 to 90 people through open homes, and not even through my property. There was a property that just recently had over 200 people through the first open home in the area. So it's a really hot market. They call it inner city acreage. What we're finding at the moment, I just launched a property at 652 London Road, Chandler. So that's expected to hit the suburb record in Chandler, which is currently 5.1. And since then, we've received around 55 inquiries in 3 days. So,
pretty cool.
Yeah, that was launched on Monday.
That's the one with the helicopter in the backyard, right?
Correct, yeah. BYO helicopter for that one there. But yeah, that's the one.
So I just wanted to take the opportunity to sort of mention as well, for those who don't know, with Joe, that area has been tightly held by a certain couple of families in the real estate market. So, for Joe to break into that market and start playing with these people, it's seriously a testament to you.
Thank you.
I'm really ecstatic, seriously, that you've done that. So I think what it means, for me, when I sort of look at it as a character, I'm going, well, Joe, your integrity and your old school mentality, and obviously, relationships are key. So again, when we're dealing with our clients, the same thing. Relationships are paramount, no matter what. Obviously, the property is a byproduct of the sale, but the relationship is what it's all about.
Right.
Now, I called you probably about a couple of weeks back, or maybe just as this sort of coronavirus thing was unfolding, and I said a few things to you that probably got you thinking, probably just a little bit in front of time, because it's interesting seeing now that the real estate REA are coming out and sending things out about COVID and all this sort of stuff. But I mentioned to you things that you probably should be doing in advance to sort of rectify what we think is going to happen in the next sort of 6 to 12 months. So I know it's still early days, and obviously it's hard. But have you done anything sort of differently since that talk that we had a week back?
Yeah, we honestly mainly just client retention and ensuring that the relationships you have are better than ever. And also assuring my clients that we're still open for business. We're still here to assist wherever we can. The speculation in the media, and the media says and does what they need to, but they in regards to business, they do make it sound a lot worse than what it is. Obviously, with the coronavirus, it is an issue. It is very, very bad, but they're making it sound very doom and gloom. So we're just contacting our clients saying that it's not necessarily all of that. We're still we listed a house yesterday, sold one 2 days ago. So we're still transacting. We're still getting inquiries. There's still momentum there. It's not that our phone is not ringing. It's not that, our business is at a standstill. So the clients that I do know and that I do know well, and the clients that I want to know, we're contacting them, just letting them know that, it's not all doom and gloom, and things are trotting along fine. Obviously, this COVID-19 is something to be wary of, but it's not going to just absolutely destroy, current market conditions.
Okay. No, I agree. And I think, like I said, the stimulus packages that, governments are coming out with lending, for those of you who would have probably joined in on our webinar on Tuesday regarding the stimulus packages and loan situations with George there from Matt. Obviously the government's coming in hard to throw money at the economy. So I think hopefully these packages work and help us down the line. So
definitely.
So well done, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, let's jump over to Mr. Darcy Lord now. Darcy's an interesting one. Darcy's from a farming cattle background, and I think he realised early on in the piece that that he didn't want to stick around in the family business, so he jumped ship and landed in a little place called Bulimba. It feels like many years ago, mate, that we met. Darcy is a multi-award-winning agent, like Patty and Joe and Jason, and brings exceptional customer service to his clients. So, Darcy, tell us, you've been locked up there for the last 10 days in your house.
Yeah.
You're coming back from South Africa, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate. It's been 10 days today. I've got 4 more to go, and I went on a holiday which was 6 days, and it's turned into 20 so far. And I can guarantee you, I know every inch of this place right now. Like there's not a lot of space I haven't sat in at the moment.
So what sort of colour paint they got on the walls there?
Mate, there are literally 4 shades of white, and I can point them all like exactly where they all are. But interesting time, going from the space of a holiday and happiness and fun and checking out weddings as we do, and then coming back into an isolation period. It was a weird experience, but it's interesting. A lot of time to think and a lot of time to catch up. Like, to be honest, hounding phone calls is probably what this whole week's literally been about.
Yeah. So just for the record, you haven't got coronavirus, right?
Haven't got coronavirus, fit as a fiddle. I'm happy to get back out in the streets as soon as they let me.
I'm gonna ask a poll at the end of this to see who actually has coronavirus or who knows anyone that's got it, because it's an interesting one. Everyone I've been speaking to doesn't know anybody, it's a bit of an interesting one. But
yeah.
So Darcy, tell us. Obviously, before real estate, coming from a grazier family on cattle, what made you make that decision? What was it? Why give that up and come?
Why real estate? Is that the question? Yeah, why real estate?
Yeah, why real estate? Why place Bulimba to start with?
If you want the truth of the story, I was the cattle farmer's son. They sent me to boarding school, and I wanted to be an actor at the end of boarding school, and I didn't get into NIDA, so I didn't have a backup plan, which is probably similar to a lot of people at the moment. But I didn't have a backup plan, and I decided, well, what's the next best thing? And Dad goes, well, we might as well get you down south. So came to Brizzy, was working in a job, and as people do, I chased a pretty girl and ended up in I chased a pretty girl for a number and ended up with a job at Place, where I was with Place for a very long period of time, basically 16 years. And I've literally walked Oxford Street, the inner eastern suburbs now, for 16 years. But it wasn't until about probably years 2, 3, or probably 3 actually, is when I really started getting into that. This could be a career for me, and this could be something that I could definitely go and do. It's a beautiful community in all those areas there, and it's just one of those things. Like the job is hard. If you're ready for a hard bit of work, then get into the role. But it's super rewarding in the end, which is I think why everyone gets quite addicted to it. And it yields that if you put a lot of hard work in, it comes back at you.
So tell us, right? So you must love the area that much that
yeah, it's good.
You walked a couple of steps from Place up to Belle.
58 metres up the road to a different shade of green.
Yeah, so you're still looking at the same window, right?
Yeah, still looking at the same street too.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I recently moved from Place. Love those guys, and moved across to Belle with Tony O'Doherty, and we've sort of teamed up there to have have a decent crack at this business ourselves. And to be honest, it's been nothing short of great. It's interesting when you sit inside the decision-making processes of these businesses, like what can we actually do for people and what can we actually do to make an effect? And I think you just get a greater level of control when you're sitting behind the steering wheel of it.
Yeah. And it's obviously causing a rethink at the moment, right? So your think tank, whilst obviously you've been in isolation for 10 days, no doubt you've been using obviously social media and you've been going backwards and forwards between meetings and things. But one thing that I wanted to highlight with you was similar to what Paddy's been doing, in the sense that embracing social media and getting out there and telling the story, because this is what people want to know. What are the realities of buying and selling? What does the process look like? What does it feel like? What is it like to go to auctions and all that sort of stuff? So awesome stuff you're doing there. Really, really good. But tell us now, given that we're staring down the barrel of potential changes with the way we do things. How are you guys adapting to that? What have you put in place to look at?
I think it's funny because these conversations are getting more highlighted every day that we go forward. But I think the first thing is that you just need to acknowledge where you're at, and you need to adapt change quickly. And hand off or hats off, to every restaurant business and every person that's decided to go and make a change into going into takeaway service and going into providing food and giving staff still opportunities now. Like, that immediacy of change is what will keep those guys alive. It'll be tough, it'll be hard, but it's keeping them moving forward. We had a similar conversation as well, where we talked about what are fundamentally our three components that we deal with, or what is the transaction take. And one is obviously the agents, the second one was the buyers, and the other one was the sellers. And what roles do we actually all play normally within that, and what do we need to change? But probably the first one is the one that we can do the most ourselves with agents. And I think this time will probably require a more reliance on higher accuracy of data. So I think getting more comprehensive information packs is probably a big thing. And before people really need the questions, we have to know the answers. You can no longer go, I'll go get that in 2 days' time. But having more comprehensive information packs, floor plans being more accurate, having ceiling heights. Ceiling heights is a big thing that comes up all the time. Rental appraisals on properties. If there are any additional photographs on the property itself, and just providing a high level of information straight from the day one. As soon as the property is listed, if there is an inbound of interest at all, that's the information that we've got as a level platform. And I think that's just the standard that'll change from this, whether it be us and everyone else. I think what will happen in that is what you guys are doing now, which I think is brilliant. And we're going to be when you're going out to a house, and probably we haven't really honed this in yet, but when you're doing the photo shoot on a home, that's when the home looks its best. It's when the owners have put the most effort in. It's when they've slaved away for the last day. They've got cleaners in, they've adjoined everything, they've held the kids off. And in that moment, when they're getting the photos, we should be either turning up after, or we should be turning up before. And we should be giving just a high level introduction to the property itself, and putting it out to a webinar like this, putting it out to a live audience and going and saying, guys, this is the home. Here are the physical things that you need to know. It's this bedrooms. If you want this information, here's your floor plan, email me here. Give that comprehensive detail to them, and just understand the process of what a buyer looks for when they look for a home. They look for not just here's a nice bedroom and here's the nice quilts and stuff, but here's how the flow of the home works. Here's how the bedroom works. Here's how the orientation of the ground works. If you have any more specificities like that, I can come at any time and do that for you guys. Personally message me here, which I think the next part will be. And I think what will turn on to is getting buyers to do. We used to do this in the past, 15 years ago, I reckon I used to do heaps of this, where we would get people to physically drive past the property first. Are you aware of the suburb of Camp Hill? Are you aware of the suburb of Bulimba? Are you aware of the suburb of Norton Park? Do you know this street specifically? Could I make a recommendation you drive past and just check out the neighbours? And all of a sudden, you're actually getting more engagement from the buyer right from day one, where they're literally going, okay, well, they've got to do something in order to go and tick this off the list. And then you've got to sit there in front of them saying, well, we do this, you've got the information, you've got the checks on the property. Okay, well, how would you like to come for the private inspection now? And I think it'll just be a higher washing of the buyers and the database and the people that inquire and interact with us. I think that'll be the first thing that we as agents will have to be really responsible for, and making sure that the person we're bringing through the home is just a higher quality prospect for this particular house, and these are the reasons why.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. Look, it's, you know, hearing you speak is, again, it's customer service. You know, it's the relationships, it's the people. You know, again, the house is a byproduct. I believe, you know, obviously, you know, you need to find the right person for the house in the right space, right?
Yeah.
And I think you do that well. So, you know, that's interesting, mate. So really for the future, you're thinking that the next sort of 6 to 12 months could be potentially a slight fall with a rise coming, or are you thinking that we're going to be sort of sitting at the same sort of level across? I mean, given the fact that potentially, you know, there may be some sort of shutdown or lockdown.
Yeah, another one.
In that case, you may never get out of your home. But you know, just if we were going to a lockdown period, and let's just say, argument's sake, it was a 12-week period, what are you going to be doing as an agent, as a person, in that period of time where you physically can't essentially go out and actually do any outside physical work, I suppose?
Yeah, I think the first thing is all business, doesn't matter whether it's real estate or whether it's accounting or businesses and so forth, but it's about connecting and understanding people. So I think really engage with your clients. Like, I reckon this week it's probably been a blessing really, but I've done more physical interaction on the phone with my clients and actually understanding what this process is like for them. You know, what implications are coming forward, and probably even understanding the fiscal nature of a person as well. Like, some people might fall into duress in this period and some people might not fall into duress in this period. And I think understanding that delivers a different level of intention or speed that we need to go forward with. If they call us a lockdown, I don't think it's going to go for, I think might have misheard you before, but I think if they go for a lockdown for a 2-week sort of period, which is possibly what's coming up, and then it'll be whatever comes after that. The truth of any market that I've been in, like, I've been in 2 that have exploded, and I've been 2 that have actually collapsed. And it literally takes about 3 to 4 weeks for the change to kick in when you're going from this way and all of a sudden it's now this way. And what it does, what you're dealing with right now is this just uncertain period. Like, we're not really sure whether it's this or this just yet because the actual effect of it hasn't happened. But like what happened in 2008 and what happened, I got flooded in 2011 and didn't have a home for 30 days, no power, and that was a weird experience itself, but getting lucky in Brisbane. But the truth is there is a correction period. There's a period where the audience needs to understand what's going on. There are literally people right now, there are opportunists, and I shouldn't say it's opportunistic, but they are literally confident to act. And I've had people confident to act call up. Literally, I've had 8 inquiries in the last week about certain different levels of homes in that market. So we know there's an audience that's always going to sit there and always going to watch. One lady in particular today, I met her a year ago and looking at the same house, came on the market, different owners, blah, blah, blah. But she's come back again because she has an avid interest. So following buyers and following your sellers, understanding your seller's position would be a really, really, really big thing. There's been no better time to connect with a human, just to be really open and transparent. And when we can act and when we can walk out the door, these are the actions that I'm going to take. And people thrive on certainty. So when we can move and we can act and we can do all these things that we're talking about, with whether it be from the agent side, I think there's an emphasis on buyers as well, that'll come from this conversation, where if there is to be some level of interaction, we would expect that a buyer would have more formalized or more formal finance approval is probably a better way to go and say it, but they would actually be able to prove that, you know, we are financially capable, because beforehand it's really of conversation. Yes, they are. Do we really know? No. So I think a formal process will probably come out of this, where the people will start actually showing their pre-approval letters, if that's a thing. Also being acknowledged that the buyer has read and understood the building and pest before entering into a contract, I think will be a really big thing going forward. If you can get a building and pest done, get it done before you even get down that path. Long gone are the conversations of put the home under contract, deal with the buyer afterwards they read the building and pest report, because the truth is most people are uneducated or undereducated with how building and pest conversations work. So get one done at the front, give it to the buyer, and Mr. Buyer, just before we enter forward, are you comfortable with the building and pest report? Do you have a concern? And deal with that before you contract, as opposed to dealing it when you're in contract, because it makes it a lot harder.
Okay, cool. It's interesting today too. I was talking with a couple of different banks to find out obviously what their status is with. Obviously, some of you have probably heard about the deferral payments that are happening with people's mortgages, and what's interesting to note out of that is that a lot of people. This is what I suppose concerned me was, if people go down the path of signing up to this moratorium where they get a 6-month deferral on their loans. The banks are basically saying that they're not going to be approving any more finance during that period. So that's I think a big one. That's probably going to shake things a little bit. Obviously with people having pre-approvals, they've got to make that call whether they hold a pre-approval and don't go through with that moratorium exercise, or kind of hold off. So yeah, it's an interesting one. The other point you made in regards to hospitality, and there's a little plug here for Kanya and Ken. They've got a webinar on tomorrow with the hospitality industry. But it's interesting looking at these businesses because it's almost like they've been turned upside down, and you need to really look at it from the upside, going, okay, well, my world's changed completely. How do I react? And those that are obviously going forward are the ones that are actually doing the takeaway and delivery services. So you're spot on, mate. It's getting out there, knowing your customer base, knowing that you can deliver, in a sales and marketing arena, and whether it's property, whether it's cars, whether it's anything else that you can sell. I think if you're in the right way to do this, and you'll get through it. So thanks Darcy for the input there. We'll cross back to you guys in a second. Hopefully I've got Jason still on the line there.
Yeah, mate. Yep.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So Jason, Mr. Bond, tell us, you started your property career 13 years ago after making the hardest decision of your life, probably leaving little Tassie for the big spike. 25, started your first real estate business, passion for project marketing and development. Your Real Estate Institute of Queensland membership, being chairman and part of the UDIA and REIQ and so forth. I know you're going to bring a probably different aspect to this discussion, in the fact that you've obviously been working in sort of Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and so forth, dealing with obviously financial planners and accountants and other different type of people. So tell us, what are you seeing at the moment in the current state of play?
Mate, the main thing I'm seeing is a lot of uncertainty. So the space we deal in, we mainly deal like after plan projects or 20 pack of units in Cooperoo or somewhere that's under construction. And we've got two main buyers. You got your first home buyers, your downsizers, and then you've got your investors from interstate. So we've noticed a big, most of our interstate investors are just nervous at the moment. So they're just kind of sitting on the fence. And guys that we have got under contract, unfortunately, we've had a bad week and a half. I'm not trying to be negative, but we've had a lot of people pull out of contracts just because they want to wait and see what happens in the next couple of weeks. So
that's a bit negative, yeah.
Beg your pardon?
Just kidding, mate. We were just trying to keep it all upbeat. We're keeping it real.
No, it's not necessarily they're crashing forever. It's
one sector that's
a lot of people are just trying to
in the unit market, Brizzy City. So very aware of that. Like, hat goes off to you, mate. You're gonna have to a lot of hard work ahead of you during this period, and it's obviously delayed out into the suburbs, no doubt.
Oh, mate, I think it's the same to everyone. Like it's just you've got to sit there and look at the markets, and like we've still had a good week this week with first home buyers. Like they're still pre-approved, they're ready to go. So we've done okay in that market still. So I think like anything, it's just trying to find what market's working at the moment, what market's not working, and for us, the owner occupiers, the downsizers are still looking. So we're more focusing towards that opposed to investors from Sydney at the moment.
So obviously today we were sort of touch and go whether you're going to be able to be on the panel, with obviously the fact that a couple of things had sort of fallen over and so forth. And mate, I appreciate you jumping on and being available to talk to us tonight. I guess you're probably hungry. I think, are you sitting in your car?
Mate, I am outside an appointment. I just finished, so yeah. Yep, still
Awesome.
in the car.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. So again, like looking at the industry itself, I know again, Jason, I've known for a long time now as well. Your passion for the industry and your passion to obviously achieve and want to do more. are you feeling that the next sort of step in this is to look at potentially your sales and marketing background to try and adapt that to maybe other things if this doesn't sort of work out, or like is it still early days?
I mean, this will work out still. I mean, like the same as Darcy. I've been this now for 20 years now, and been through the floods, been through the GFC, and you just got to do things differently. And as Darcy said really well, you've got to market the shit out. Sorry, my language. You got to market really well at the moment, and make sure you got your 3D virtual tours. You got to do your floor plans. You just got to do the next levels right now. Give people as much information as you can get. So, it's not doom and gloom. It's just you've just got to be better.
And what are you feeling about the whole banking sector? And because obviously you run your own business as well, so this whole stimulus package and the dollars and cents that are coming out. Do you think that's going to play a big part and help you to continue running through all of this? Yeah,
I think so, mate. I mean, obviously it's a lot of talk at the moment still from the government regarding what stimulus packages they're giving, and I think today the Queensland government's offered like up to a $250,000 loan over 10 years. First year is no interest at all. The next 2 years is interest only, and then the last 7 years is 2.4% interest. So there's an amazing package that coming out from the government to help small businesses stay alive. So it's quite positive, really, with things they're doing. And
also obviously payroll tax. We know that's come into play as well. So we can kill up to 5 months worth of payroll tax and get that money back. So that's going to be a big plus for a lot of people.
Yeah, correct.
And you guys are obviously aware of the changes to the Corporations Act and obviously the way that people. I mean, not going to that negative. But, we're seeing a few people talking about liquidations and wind-ups and all that sort of stuff. So I think what the government's done in the latest round of initiatives is obviously to loosen that period from 21 to 6 months. So again, it gives, I think, all of us an opportunity to keep going, to keep pushing along here. That's where I think I see things.
Yeah, mate, totally agreed. Yeah.
All right, cool. And are you seeing any differences between Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, or like obviously, the states are different?
No, look, it's pretty much the same. I mean, with what we do, because we sell a lot of properties in Melbourne and Brisbane, but most of our buyers come from Sydney, the investors. So they're all pretty much coming from the same spot at the moment. So pretty much across the board, they're just wait and see what happens over this next weeks and months. So, but I mean, first home buyers are still doing well in Melbourne as they are in Brizzy. So if you've got the right product, there's still buyers for it.
So you've got the Sydney people still inquiring and still calling and still sort of interested?
No, to be honest. But yeah, they're still talking with us, but it's really quieting down. I mean, I'll be honest. Like I said, the first home buyers downsize is going really well still, but people from Sydney who have got money looking for investments right now, they're just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah. I've got a couple of clients that are talking about buying things off the plan as well. And sort of my advice is that it's probably too hard to say at this stage. I mean, I think I don't know whether you echo the same thoughts as me, but it is a long-term picture here. So there's a lot of sort of uncertainty, and I say to sort of be cautious with a lot of these decisions. At the end of the day, we're still fresh into this period. It's only kind of two and a bit weeks that we've had, this supposed coronavirus hanging around us. So, I think hat off to the government. They've done a great job so far in trying to sort of slow the impact of this. As we probably all appreciate, if the government was to come out and say we're going to lock down tomorrow, I think a lot of people are going to be in a world of pain, and stimulus packages and whatever. I mean, they'll come out and they'll give us some time, but I think it's prudent now that we really start thinking about what we're going to do in that period of time if it does come. So interested to hear your thoughts between all four of you. Open the discussion up. But just before I get to that, there's a couple of questions coming through. So we've got. Let's just read them out here. So I've got a question here from somebody. What do you think is going to happen with bank valuations? So anyone on the panel here want to answer that? Have a go at answering that.
Look,
You go. That's not my area of expertise, that one.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
I think it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I'd sit there and look at projects and, generally speaking, even in good market values are a pain in the ass. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like we quite often get a valuer who will value something at 500 and the current price is 500. And then the same value, a different value will come in at 450. So I think values are, they're always painful. They're vanning my existence. We have more deals crash because of valuation than anything else. So in all honesty, I mean, good markets and shit markets, values are always conservative. And yeah, it's, I think the owner occupier, your normal stuff like Darcy and you guys do, values aren't usually too bad, generally speaking.
No.
Not a lot of the time. Like, I reckon I'd be finding it's only when it really has been quite a pushed campaign and you've had someone really end up with a value that hasn't been seen in the market before. That's when the valuer turns up and you can see it in their eyes. They're like, well, where do we get the information from? But majority of the time, 8 out of 10, they're pretty fine.
Yeah, I've got a comment here from an Andrew. Guys, I do property inspections February and March, and it's been big months. Last week, a little slower, but our forward bookings into next week at this stage, expecting a drop-off. So,
great building inspector, Resi Sir Andrew. I think, no doubt in my mind, Andrew, you've had to adapt to wearing gloves, masks, all that stuff in a house inspection, mainly for the clientele. I think buyers and sellers need to see that you're making an impact yourself and taking it very seriously. But yeah, I think that you'll still get bookings up until maybe we do enter a lockdown period. And then I'd be very interested to know what the next steps are there. How does that look? Are we just going to extend our building and pest clauses from 7 to 21 to 28? Or are we able to still get you in there because it's an essential service? Does anyone have comments on that?
I agree with you pretty much.
Yeah. So you can go, Joseph. The binding nature of the contract, like you could still a building, it'd just be compliance. Like you said, with you turning up with gloves and masks and stuff like that, there will be most likely be the process of the building inspector will turn up, and instead of everyone hanging around the building inspector when he's trying to do his thing, they'll let him go do his thing. Then they'll have a conversation probably at the end, but they'll probably share the same compliance. I think will be required if two people are meeting, whether it be gloves or whether it be masks, but it's still a fundamental to the process, which leads to the essential either it leads to the essential purchase or leads to the essential renting of the property itself. Like it'll just happen.
I think what I found today as well that a couple of other agents are doing are actually starting to, especially in the rental market, and we're probably going to have another session on the rental with a couple of other rental agents. But they're starting to take videos of walkthroughs and similar to what you guys have probably been doing in the sales arena. So it's interesting times. Like I said, there's no crystal ball here. There's nothing to sort of say that we're going to go into doom and gloom. There's nothing to say that we're going to have a boom. There's a lot of discussion points we have to have with people and with clients, and I think that's probably the most important out of this. Keeping the nature of obviously what you do as a person. And keeping on, doing that, and jumping onto your Facebooks and interacting with clients and dealing with them, telling them what's going on and keeping them updated.
Kanyo's got some cracking questions rolling in here.
He's smashing it out.
Now, one of them is, and I just want to talk about this, would any of you buy a house at the moment? Personally, I think it comes back to buyer circumstance. If I've been in the market 6 months and my lease is coming to an end, of course I've got an option to maybe, if I'm lucky, say my mum and dad lived in Brisbane, I would maybe, revisit that. But if I had, my lease agreement where I could go periodic for a little bit, potentially. Sometimes you don't have the option. Sometimes you're forced to buy or rent again. And I think, again, if it's a property that's relatively well priced, there's enough sales evidence to show that it's good value, I still think I would be buying now. I'm not lying by saying that. I'm being very honest with that. If I'm pushed to make a decision, I'm fairly impulsive though, so I'll be very honest there. I would probably still buy now if it reflected good value.
Yeah. I on that question for Kanyo, I wrote in there. I'm actually getting approved, like literally as we speak at the moment, for for what this is worth, I bought a home after I got flooded in 2011, and the market wasn't necessarily favourable to probably the sellers. It wasn't the worst thing that I've seen, but it wasn't favourable to sellers. And I ended up getting into a negotiation on buying a house on the hill, and it turned out to be one of the best purchases that I've ever done. And Georgie, I'll come see you. Georgie's just commented, I'll come see you, Georgie. I need a second quote.
The Loans areas. Go see him, Mad Loans.
Go to see Mad Loans. But yeah, these are the best periods. If you are a genuine buyer and you have been looking to buy for the last 6 months, don't stop looking at the market. This is the time that you will actually get that piece of real estate that will actually get you into the next platform and the next level. There will be some people that are out there that need to sell. They're actually starting to have those conversations. There's an all-level audience that doesn't need to sell, and this market will divide those two. But 100%, this is one of the best times I'd be getting out there and having a look, getting my information to go and have a look, for sure.
I think it's going to be an interesting time. Like I said, even in that lockdown period, and I know, I encourage a lot of my clients to jump onto realestate.coms and so forth, and keep an eye on property, and watch it and see when things change. So in a period where people are going to be locked down in their houses, I can rest assured people are going to be scrolling through these applications to have a look at what's on the market and so forth. So yeah, it's great. I think there's just a comment here from a Christy from Domain. It's been great to listen to the market. Very insightful, and actually helps me and puts in a better position to understand agents and help with challenges and goals. So thanks for that, Christy.
Cheers, Christy.
Hey, Christy. Hey.
Yeah, we all know Christy. Good. There's a comment there earlier from Oliver Foran. He's a guy I know. He's a young guy starting out in real estate at Freedom Property on the Bayside. He messaged me on Instagram and asked us a question, which was, what are our recommended prospecting techniques in this period? Now, door knocking might be off the cards, but but if you've got a database, Oliver, service it, not annoy them, but evaluate information, and I think just try and help them as much as possible. If they need any real estate assistance, if they don't, just keep them consistently updated on recent sales, and show some confidence, show them that there is confidence in the marketplace at the moment. Do you guys have any other comments or any other ideas on prospecting strategies right now?
Great time for off markets. So people that have shown interest in selling, in the last few months, but now are getting cold feet. As long as they, again, think that they're getting a fair deal, I think that they would entertain the idea of an off market. And you've got buyers that we've met right up until last Saturday of open homes, and all these people still have intentions to do something in the next 3 to 6 months, you'd think. So I think off markets, Oliver, would be a really great play at the moment as well.
The old adage of the old open house book, or the old open house register, that I haven't found anything better than that. It depends what level and year you're starting with, and if you're starting from scratch, then you need to work with someone that's got data. And if you've got data, then you need to go back and work your data, because we probably haven't worked that data we probably have worked that data, but good markets can make us not have to do that as much. But I'd be going back, and it's about building your audience, like what this panel is, and Kelly is to us, and Kanyo and Georgie and all that. Like, these guys are all part of our network and our information point. And what you're doing is you're building your team, especially in these periods, people that you can call upon, people you can advise upon, people you can trust. Start building an audience, start building a team that you can call upon, that you need to, in all your facets.
That's brilliant, Darcy. I've got the question here from, it's not actually a question, it's actually probably an answer to that question of Oliver. This has come from Ludovic. So basically saying your database is the best way to prospect. We have over 10,000 database, and they've told their agents just to call them and know that they're comfortable with you. So yeah, again, reiterating what you're saying, Darcy, there. Yeah. Question here from David and Nadine. So we're about to sign a contract for a unit in Burleigh, buying off the plan, not due for completion until 2022. How do you feel about this? Jace, probably a question for you. I mean, the others.
Mate, I think it's like any decision, like good market, bad market. If you're buying off the plan, have you got the finance for it? Is it something you like? Is it owner occupier? Is it investment? Like, is it right for you? Then buy it. I mean, I'm not a mortgage broker, but I don't know how much money you got in the bank account. But if you've got the finances set and you're right, it's what you want to do, then, you know, it's as risky as any purchase any time, really, isn't it? There's no difference between now and 4 years ago. If you want to buy off the plan, you've got to make sure you've got enough money there. And generally speaking, off the plan, you want to have 20% deposit, not 5 or 10%, just for in case the market does drop a little bit, you're there and you're safe.
And to me too, guys, it sounds like it's a lifestyle decision that you're making. Burleigh, beautiful part of the world. You know, you've got to make the decision. You know, is it going to be an appreciating asset, or is it going to be a lifestyle asset? It might lose a little bit. Naturally, off the plan, they generally do. But you know, will it regain? If you know, subject to whether you're absolute beachfront or not. I don't know what the situation is there, but Goldie does well. Burleigh's quite hot at the moment, but should retain hot. They've got some great retail facilities down there. It seems to be the new Mermaid almost. So
it's the hottest spot in the Gold Coast, isn't it? Burleigh Heads at the moment. You can't go too wrong there.
Get me to Burleigh. Get me to Burleigh now.
There we go. So David and Nadine, so it's an absolute beachfront on the Esplanade. So it's a lifestyle decision.
Sounds good.
I think obviously the question around that though, I would just basically say that Ludovic's just come and said Mermaid Beach is the best.
Sorry.
Probably agree with you there. Plug for our office. We just opened up down there at Mermaid Beach on the Gold Coast Highway. But to answer your question, the interesting thing is we're 2020. We're 2 years away from a 2022 setup. So I think reality is that yes, there may be a whole lot of units on the market, and so the reality is that buying today and trying to set it may be a little bit sort of dangerous based on the fact of where we're sort of heading and what I think is going to be coming. So again, if it's a lifestyle decision and you're buying it today off the plan, and you're going to have it forever and a day, then that's cool. But like Jason said there, I think it comes back to obviously the dollars and cents. And if you're prepared to put that down and understand that markets will probably change, then probably yes, the decision's yours. But I don't know. I mean, you guys probably are in the same boat. I know it's hard to sort of think that the market will boom. I'm hoping that we can at least keep everything constant. That the market sort of stays steady. But of course, I think it all depends on obviously the longevity of this coronavirus situation. Most people I'm talking to are kind of thinking, okay, well, it's going to be sort of 6 to 12 months. My personal feeling is that until we find some sort of vaccine or some sort of cure for this thing, we are still subject to that time frame. So if it's a 12-month thing where they find this vaccine, then I think that's the period that we're going to have to deal with. The lockdown period, well, that may be 2 to 4 weeks to 12 weeks. I don't know, but it's the recovery on the other side of that, which is what I'm concerned about, and I'm sure all of you guys are feeling the same way. But at the end of the day, we're all positive, and I think I brought together this panel tonight because I know the four of you are all go-getter attitude. You've all got passion, and you've all got the relationship skills that I think potential buyers and sellers want from a real estate agent. So, guys, look, really appreciate you coming on board on tonight, giving up your time to tell us all about the industry. Did you want to ask each other any questions or anything burning?
I'm all good. I'm all questioned out at this stage, but thank you very much for having us. It's been resourceful. Sorry we didn't get through all the questions tonight, but I'm sure, Michele will pass on details. If you wanted to have a conversation with us afterwards, that's fine.
Yeah.
I've got a question. There's a comment here from a lawyer in Melbourne. Basically, if you're considering signing an off-plan purchase contract in the current climate, look mainly at sunset dates and force majeure clauses. Your deposit should be protected, invested in lawyers' trust accounts.
I would agree with that. I think that anyone that is entering into a contract, anyone's entering into a contract off plan, it can be hard to exercise that. But if someone isn't taking the investment of my time in a contract, then there has to be a cost at that. I think that's one part that's always critically missed a lot at the moment. I had this happen today where someone's giving us the subject to settlement clause, not completely the same, but subject to settlement clause where there was a condition that they could probably get out at the end. But if you take up 30 days or 60 days or whatever time of mine that it is, and to go down this path and they can't exercise another option, then there should be an accountability for that. It doesn't have to be massive, but there should be some.
I've got probably one last question here from Sebastian. He's come in and said, do we think foreign buyers will come back and drive the investment market? Interesting question.
Yeah, it's going to come down to government too, and what their policy is with foreign investors at the moment.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I know a couple of years ago they've upped the stamp duty for foreign investors to 5% instead of 2 or 3, whatever it is for us locals. So that slowed it down a lot, and obviously the lending to locals has changed a lot as well. So I think the Australian dollar being so poor at the moment, we've had a few Chinese groups call us this week actually, and Australian dollar is so bad that it makes sense to buy here at the moment. So, but then it depends on lending policies, which I don't know too much about.
We're still finding a lot of expats from Hong Kong that are expat from Hong Kong flying with Emirates or wherever it was flying with. He came and he nearly bought a property sight unseen to buy into the Brisbane State High School catchment. I think more expats are taking advantage of the Australian dollar at the moment rather than foreign purchasers. Expats are able to buy a lot easier. If you're a foreign purchaser, the Australian government, they really do make it difficult for you. But if you're an expat, I think they're the ones that will be taking advantage of the current Australian market and definitely the low dollar at the moment. A lot of urgency there from what I'm finding if they can get here, if they're not already here with this virus going around.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Joe. It's I think there's opportunity. I think there's a lot of opportunity in those people. I mean, the government would be crazy to not look at those sort of strategies for people to be able to come in and buy and keep the economy afloat. So yeah, that's a good one, and I think it sort of comes back to being a social presence. Making sure that keeping your Facebooks up to date, doing your social medias, getting those videos done. Taking things to the next level, because it's what the other people are not doing that you need to be doing to take that competitive advantage away. So that's something that I've been sort of trying to get to my clients. The same message is that no matter what you do, if you walk away and put your head in the sand, then you're not going to be better on the other side of this. So if you take these opportunities and run with them, you're going to be much better off. So
yeah, I agree.
All right, cool. Well, guys, I'm going to probably wrap it up. I just wanted to say thank you again to the panel. So we've got Patrick Ivey at Harcourts there, Cooperoo, plug. Joe Lordi from McGrath, he's all the way Belmont, Gumdale, all that little area down there. Darcy Lord at Belle, when he gets out of his place, he'll be happy there.
4 days. 4 days. 4 days.
4 days to go, not long. And Jason Bond down Elever over at Spring Hill. So, guys, again, really appreciate your time, giving up your time on a Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Sorry that you probably missed out on dinner, Jace. I'll send you a takeaway box.
Thank you.
And again, for all of those out there watching tonight, please email me if you want to become a client of MURO. We've got plenty more webinars coming along, so watch this space. Again, thanks very much, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, Michele.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.